Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming, and welcome to my talk. I'm doing a second talk in 2 days on various hybrid cloud topics, and this one is really a bit of a thought piece on some of the aspects of hybrid cloud that can be really, really useful for data protection. And in particular, I'm going to give you the example of how our Clear Sky data storage service actually takes advantage of some of these. So let's talk a little bit about disaster recovery, because that seems to be near and dear to everybody's heart. So generally speaking, this is probably one of the most costly undertakings that any enterprise will ever take on. You have redundant hardware, you have data networking between it, you have lots of software. In many cases, you have licenses and business things that you have to take care of. On average, this is one of the many reasons why you get numerous copies of your data hanging around in different places. 15 plus copies of your data, 6 to 8 vendors. It can be a complexity nightmare. The other thing that happens is that only about 30% of your apps are generally DR'd. So you have to figure out which ones are going to be allowed to live. Because DR can easily doubles the storage costs, and it also makes a huge dent in your budget with respect to licensing and things like networking. So multiple vendors are pretty much de rigueur, and there's a management and integration challenge. A lot of time you hear about DR to the cloud. It sounds great, but there are a lot of fees involved. The structure of cloud and in particular cloud storage, which I'll talk about in a second, is sort of an unknown cost. Latency is a problem. Cloud is very far away from you, and the mobility, actually getting the data there and doing conversions, is a problematic issue as well. And then there's always the networking costs. So few people really truly understand that cloud is really a networking problem more than a compute problem. So this is sort of my favorite slide these days. This is sort of the environment that we are selling into most of the time. In general, customers of ours have multiple servers in multiple locations. They have primary and secondary storage stood up in each of the locations, an on-site backup, an off-site backup. In the end, you have something on the order of 2 to 3 locations, and this is how you get all the multiple copies of your data hanging around, because you also need to double them up for disaster recovery. So, leveraging the cloud for anything hybrid is, it's an opportunity and also a challenge. This is a Gartner number. Only 18% of workloads can be served from the cloud today, according to enterprises that are surveyed. The data footprints have inertia, so moving data to and from the cloud is a problem. You have latencies on one hand if you move the data and the app into the cloud. From the perspective of your users, you also have storage latency if you just leave the data in the cloud and then move the app closer. So there's no way to solve for the speed of light, and so you also have to deal with the security issues one way or another with adding this new data center into your infrastructure. So the Clear Sky view of the world is that a new architecture, a hybrid architecture, is actually required, and one that leverages a single copy of your data and is more cloud native and has some of the attributes of the cloud. It also solves some of the security problems and allows you to access your data in any location you happen to be in. So we always say, this is the ideal world. Think of a world where you have all of the economics and scalability of the public cloud, in particular public cloud object storage, and couple it with the availability, performance, and security of your on-prem infrastructure. That's the ideal world, and that's what we deliver. We built everything on top of public cloud object storage. We believe that public cloud object storage is sort of the new durability model. In typical storage infrastructure, you have things like RAID to provide you durability. In the public cloud, pretty much all of the public cloud providers today offer a guarantee of 11 nines of durability. So I don't know if you do availability math, but I can do it for you. It's probably about 5 copies, maybe even 6 copies, depending on how you think they set it up. But you absolutely positively have multiple copies in multiple buildings for durability. So this is a good place to start for any hybrid model, we believe. The other thing that's interesting is the price cuts. So when I was building this presentation, I actually recycled a slide from a similar presentation that I did in 2015. It was just 2 years ago, so I thought I'd actually just cut and paste the price list from the same page in Amazon for the prices. So we've got anywhere between a third and a half of the price of the 2015 price list in terms of like storage capacity per gig per month. That's being charged. So one of the side benefits of using the cloud in anything like this is that your cost continuously goes down, and you don't actually have to migrate your data to do it. It just happens. And so, and this is just evidence. In just 2 years, the core storage costs are going down. It's pretty obvious that as time goes on, the cost of storing a piece of data is going to zero. So, which is kind of an interesting construct to think about. So the question is, well, so how are these guys going to make their money? It'll be the access costs. So, and this is both a blessing and a curse. Accessing data at any level of quality or performance is going to ring up a bill. And you have data transfer costs, you have request costs, and all of this adds up, and in the end, you have some multiple of the data at rest price that you pay. And so this is one of the problems that our approach solves. Some of the things that we don't solve that still need to be solved are around the compute. Compute's kind of an interesting problem because by and large we're in the VMware conference, VMworld. Everyone is using VMware. VMware in general is either running in vSAN or it's running on a SAN array with VMFS LUNs or NFS data stores. And in all those cases, you have a data format lock-in. So in order to orchestrate a DR exercise into the cloud, a true hybrid cloud DR exercise, as an administrator, you have to walk through all these steps. You have to identify the correct instance types. So how much compute size of VM you have in the physical world needs to be mapped to a virtual instance in the cloud. You have to convert all of these images, and there are tools that are available to convert an image into the native format, and that is a one-by-one thing. You have to copy the data, which is another problem all by itself, especially if you have large data footprints. So when you look at the demos, a lot of times you'll have like a little tiny VM that gets copied. In fact, if you have a 20 or 30 terabyte database, doing DR for something like that in the cloud is somewhat of a technical challenge. There are all sorts of network issues. Inside of most of these network environments is just a flat network. Most likely in your world, you do not have a single subnet network for all of your infrastructure. So you need to make some translations. You need to make sure that everything can talk to everything else, including your users. And then, assuming you did manage to do all these things and you fail over, you actually have to fail back at some point, unless you think this is a permanent situation. And so there is no reasonable process for failing back. So no way to convert in the opposite direction easily. And so you have sort of this conundrum. So today, the only mitigation that's available, and some of our customers do this, is to use RDM and in-guest initiators to separate the data from the actual, virtual machines. And then you can just spin up, for example, a Microsoft Windows server inside of Amazon and attach to the data volumes. So that takes a part of the confusion up top there off your plate, but it adds additional complexity. And so from an operational standpoint, it forces your day-to-day operations to be different. And in the case where this is important to folks, they're perfectly willing to do it. But I recognize that most folks don't want to do that. And the recovery time for all of this stuff in general is very long. So it takes a very, very long time to do all these conversions if you actually had a disaster. So creating these VMs, especially if you're converting them, you're never going to be able to do it within a reasonable 4-hour window if you have more than, say, 10 or 15 of them. So you're very, very constrained in what you can get done. There are the significant cost benefits, and this is one of the things that we always look at, which is the on-demand nature and low storage costs of the entire infrastructure. The VMware Cloud is a big announcement for us and for everyone in this world, because in general, all of these conversions go away. You now have servers that are sitting inside of the Amazon cloud that can actually understand all of these formats. And so we expect to make a lot of noise over the course of the next year as VMware and Amazon roll this service out in complement to our particular data service. All of the configuration problems are pretty much taken care of, and the big issue, it becomes the data. And as the ability to do iSCSI attach comes online over the course of the next year or so, and this is definitely a roadmap item for VMware, that will actually solve the problem of basically making it possible to visualize this particular use case here, where you have a LUN in a physical data center and you can just surface it using our cloud edge inside of your VPC. Between our solution and the VMware Cloud, you're able to actually experience the true hybrid cloud DR, and also use the same technology for multiple other use cases as well, including things like test dev, copy data, and compute surges. So I think I'm just going to finish